Well, these are live shots from Manchester City's team hotel out in Istanbul. Plenty of the players going to be leaving shortly, start their journey back to the UK, back to Manchester, where no doubt the crowds will be waiting for them. We're going to bring you these pictures as soon as we see the players. We did see a few players earlier on, just a couple. So we saw some of the players leaving the hotel, including goalkeeper Edison. Here he is. A couple of amazing saves from him last night. He's got his glasses on, must have a sore head. Got his medal on as well. Why not? And then the captain, İlkay Gundogan, also made an appearance as he played his final game in a Man City shirt. We'll find out soon. But for now, let's head back to the Etihad Stadium where we can rejoin our reporter, Alan Irwin. Good morning, Alan, once again. This is going to take a while to sink in for City fans, isn't it?
You talked about sore heads just a moment ago. I'm sure many in Manchester are waking up with exactly those this morning, but waking up absolutely delighted because Manchester City are champions of Europe. And I am delighted to have a former Manchester City player, Manchester City defender alongside me. Steve Howey is with me. Steve, no sore head for you, but a very happy and relieved Steve Howey.
Absolutely. I mean, it was obviously a game that you're looking forward to. Excited but very nervous. The game itself in the first half kind of as to plan, what you would kind of expect, but the second half was kind of an open game. But you know, to watch it at the end and being so nervous, but just to get over the line was absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly deserved in the end, I thought, though.
It was a different Manchester City we had to see last night. They had to show that resolve and resilience against a very physical Inter Milan side. Is that what you expected, really? We didn't see the free-flowing, beautiful football of Manchester City that we did against Real Madrid here, for example.
No, it didn't, and I think you could also tell even in the first 15, 20 minutes, the passing wasn't like kind of Man City like. They were giving the ball away a little bit too cheaply. And when they did kind of compose themselves, because I can remember once the camera went on Pep Guardiola and he was just shouting to the players, relax, just kind of calm down. So it can get on top of you. But Inter Milan did brilliant because they just had the bank to six. And then obviously they had the other lads in front of them as well. So it made it really difficult to break down. They got it in the stride a little bit, had a couple of half chances. But obviously to work the goal the way that they did in Rodri, I mean, what a finish. Because the temptation there is to hit it as hard as you can. And he's obviously looked up, he's picked his spot and just guided in with the side of his foot, just around the two defenders, goalkeeper no chance.
Rodri, the goal-scoring hero, but there were others on the pitch as well. Let's talk first of all about John Stones before we talk about Edison.
Well, John Stones has always been a good player, but gone into that midfield, I mean, he's been absolutely exceptional. And I mean exceptional. For me, there was a period in the game, he was the best player on the park by far, confident, composed, just running the show. When you look at the quality that's on show in that game with the individuals, he was absolutely superb. You look at Ruben Diaz, how aggressive he is, you know, the leader that he is. But everybody played the part, but John Stones in particular, wow, unbelievable.
How nervous were you in those final 10 minutes and how thankful are you for Edison?
Yeah, Edison's done brilliant. I mean, obviously Lukaku, let's be honest, should he score? Probably yes. You can see it just hit the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper's got to be in the right spot, and then he kind of has reflexes to kind of just get it away. I think Ruben Diaz does brilliant as well because he heads it out because there's another Inter Milan player there. And then the final seconds, the corner. Oh dear, that was one. Obviously, it's a flick on, and you can see there's one angle that's going right into the side net, and so he gets a great hand on that. But very nervy for everybody watching. I'm sure the fans, obviously the stadium, but everybody watching worldwide, it was Man City fans. That was heart and mouth time.
And how do you feel as a former player for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne? It happened in the last Champions League final as well. He couldn't see the whole game out.
Yeah, I mean, it's devastating because obviously it's the pinnacle of a career when it comes to you know, domestic football, I suppose. So obviously heartbreak for him. But listen, he's been a huge part of this success that Man City's had, and a huge part certainly this season as well. So as I said, he's definitely played his part. But it just goes to show how good the quality is at Man City when you've got somebody like Phil Foden who can come on, you know, arguably could get into any team in Europe, at its starting team. So it's a fantastic replacement. But yeah, a little bit disappointing for him, but I'm sure he'll be joining in the celebrations with the lads last night and carrying on until tomorrow.
Another who's certainly played his part this season is Erling Haaland. Didn't get a goal last night, but 52 goals in 53 games speaks for itself, really.
Exactly. I mean, you've heard the manager when he's been sort of saying, listen, win Champions League, you've got players like Messi and Haaland, and obviously that proved probably not his best game last night. But I just think his sheer presence, his movement, I think that causes defenders huge problems. But of course, his goals, his contribution in goals, and not only that, his assists as well. And sometimes, as a defender, or people don't seem to realise, he mightn't get on the bench or he mightn't have an assist, but it's actually that movement that he has that causes chaos amongst defenders, because defenders are worried about where he is. So he creates that space, that creates the space for an assist or a goal. So again, he's had an absolutely fantastic season.
And what about the future? Will İlkay Gündoğan be part of this Manchester City team next season?
Well, you hope so. I mean, he's been the go-to guy, really, hasn't he? He's been absolutely fantastic, led the team. He's the captain. You know, obviously the deal that he's looking for, I think it is a case of a 2-year deal. Let's just hope that the club, the management, and he can get it sorted out so he does stop.
Well, he's big pals with Pep, isn't he? So it shouldn't be a problem. And talking of Pep Guardiola, what an achievement. Champions League has been the aim here for him at Manchester City. He's won it before, of course, with Barcelona, and he's done a treble now 3 times. Remarkable.
Well, a superb manager. You know, he's obviously up there with the best managers ever. There was always that, though, the Champions League, which was going to get thrown at him. And it was interesting to listen to his interviews last night as well. So I think everybody's delighted that now that question can't be asked at him. Because he's done it, and as I said, I'm absolutely delighted for him. You could see when he was obviously speaking to the owners about like next season and the next finals at Wembley, and he was like, "Wow, I've literally just stopped this campaign." So, I mean, we all know how intense he is, when it comes to details. But I just think him and the rest of the boys do need a bit of a break just to recoup and then start again, which is not too far away, ridiculously so.
It's always difficult to compare eras, isn't it? But with Pep Guardiola, it looks like he is going to go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest. Do you see it that way as well?
Well, he's still got time, hasn't he? I mean, obviously, as I said, it's all about different eras, but in his era, he's been the outstanding manager. Of course, I suppose in his era, he kind of overlaps with Sir Alex Ferguson, who we all know was absolutely amazing as well, right up there. But he's in illustrious company, and deservedly so for what he's done.
People talk about him reinventing football, which is not quite the case, but he certainly gets his team playing in a different manner, different styles, and certainly takes the opposition into account. We talked about John Stones earlier, but I suppose now if you go on a Sunday League pitch in the morning, they start playing out from the back.
Yeah, maybe it's not the wisest decision as well, especially if they're being out on the Saturday night. But some of them think that there could be John Stones or Kevin De Bruyne, which doesn't quite work. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's the different things that he comes up with. The vast majority of times it does work, sometimes it doesn't. But as I said, just the inverted fullbacks, and then obviously bringing John Stones into that midfield has been a masterstroke. But John Stones has had to carry that off. It's all very well the manager sort of saying to the player, I want you to go in there and do X, Y and Z. It's about execution, and he has done it unbelievably well.
Final question. They've dominated English football for the last few seasons, 5 Premier League titles in 6 seasons. Can they go on and dominate Europe now?
Well, again, that was the question posed, or the answer really Pep gave. He sort of said a lot of teams that do win the Champions League will tend to fade away, but given him and his personality and the way that he is, he does not want that to happen. So let's see what happens.
Steve, you'll be smiling for quite some time, I'm absolutely sure, as will all the Manchester City fans, of course, and they'll be out in numbers tomorrow when the Manchester City team parade the 3 trophies, the treble, through the streets of Manchester.
Thanks ever so much, Alan.